Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our AccuZip new PAF Management System Training webinar. We have quite a full audience here, so thank you all for taking the time out of your busy days to watch this important webinar. This is Kristen McKiernan with AccuZip, and today Steve Belmonte, CEO of AccuZip, will be presenting the webinar. And we will start in about 1 minute, and we'll discuss some of the logistics of the webinar and take it from there. So Steve, are you on the line?
Yes, welcome everybody. I'm super excited about today, and I've only had 2 cups of coffee, so we should be good. But I'm very, very excited. So go ahead and show my screen while everybody's coming in, if you don't mind here.
Okay, actually, yep, if you go ahead and show it, and I can take controls of the PowerPoint.
And
okay.
You are all in store for some fun stuff, so go ahead, Kristen. Thank you.
Okay. So again, my name is Kristen McKiernan. I'm president of AccuZip. I want to first and foremost thank you all for taking the time to join us and Steve today during his presentation to learn about our new PAF Management System training. This webinar is part of our AccuZip Customer Partner Continuing Education webinar series. Some of you may have joined some past webinars. We have future webinars as well that are part of this series. This is our mission statement for the Continuing Education Program. The goal of the AccuZip Customer Partner Continuing Education webinar series is to drive customer partner success by providing software and industry support-driven education and best practices expertise. And these webinars aim to achieve that goal in ensuring that you're up to date on new products and services that AccuZip have, how to implement them for best practices, to ensure that your workflows are going efficiently, smoothly, and as best as possible. I'm going to go over some of the logistics and mechanics of the webinar. So here are the webinar basics. As I stated earlier in an announcement, all attendees are in listen-only mode. There is a question and answer chat box to the right of your GoToWebinar pane. I will be monitoring that through the webinar, trying to answer those questions as much as possible. If you can, please wait though until the end of the webinar, and we will answer questions. You can pose questions to Steve on some of the content of the webinar, any questions that you didn't get answered during the webinar. If you have additional questions after the webinar concludes, please send an email to support@accuzip.com. Make sure the subject line is AccuZip 6 PAF Management Webinar question. This will ensure that the support questions get fielded to the right technicians and you get prompt replies to that. We will be putting a one-sheet of all of the questions and answers posted to this posed to the webinar. We'll post that to our website along with a recording of this webinar and a PDF of the PowerPoint presentation for your future reference. There will be interactive polls throughout the webinar, which Steve will be launching. There will be 3 polls, so please ensure to participate in that. That helps us gauge the audience, see where you're at, what your level of participation in the webinar, as well as where you're at in the PAF management process, how many PAFs you submit a day, the time you're committed to that, etc. And as I stated, if at any reason you have to drop out early or you want to reference this webinar in the future, this webinar will be posted to accuzip.com/webinars. All past webinars are located there, as well as a schedule of future webinars. And today's presenter, I will be introducing Steve Belmonte. He is the CEO and founder of AccuZip. Mr. Belmonte formed and founded AccuZip in 1992 and has over 35+ years experience in high-level software programming and development. Steve oversees all technical and development aspects of AccuZip, including software development, USPS relations, and the overall strategic direction of AccuZip's software products and services. And with that, I'm going to hand the voice and keyboard and mouse controls over to Steve to continue on with the presentation.
Great, thank you, Kristen. I don't know if any of or all of you have met Kristen. She's She's fantastic, and she's doing a great job. Really appreciate all your effort, Kristen, on every facet. She's running all the day-to-day stuff, and she's doing just wonderful. I'm super excited. You know, the company's been around now, this is January, 25 years, and I'm more excited today than I've been since we started the company. The stuff that we're doing, that we're going to be announcing this year, very optimistic about 2017. A lot of exciting things. One of them is this PAF management system. This has been a thorn, I'm sure, in everyone's side when you're processing through the NCOA process. The requirement by the Postal Service is that you have the mail list owner fill out and sign a processing acknowledgement form prior to processing any jobs with change of address, through our licensed NCOA link service. So what we've done here, which I think is groundbreaking, I don't know if any other company is doing it the way we're doing it today. We're actually complying very, very strongly with the rules, where we're and you'll see here in a moment, where we're actually having the list owner absolutely sign the PAF, and the broker. So everybody's in the mix together, and this allows you, this PAF management system will allow you to onboard people much, much quicker within real time, literally within seconds, 24/7. So what we'll be talking about today would be of course, the purpose of the PAF management system is to make it easy on you, and I'll go over that a little more in detail. We'll be talking about the PAF management activation, using the PAF management window, PAF management process in detail, submission and the reply process, and backwards compatibility with the old PAF management that we have today. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Then we're going to get into some live demonstrations. So the whole process and purpose of this PAF management system is to simplify the PAF onboarding process, to eliminate long wait times to get mail list owners approved and activated. And that can be anywhere from under an hour to over an hour, and sometimes, if there's lots coming in, it could be several hours. Better experience for our customer partners. So we're doing everything possible with this new system to make the experience very pleasant for you and the people that you're providing services to. With this new PAF management system, you have 24/7 with near real-time PAF approval capability. So I'm going to go ahead and start the live demonstration. We're going to go over the PAF management activation of it using the PAF management window, PAF management process in detail, submitting and replying, and the backwards compatibility. So I'm going to go ahead and bring AccuZip up. So all of this is built and integrated seamlessly into the AccuZip product and into your normal workflow. Later this week, actually tomorrow, you'll all be receiving, before the close of business tomorrow, you'll all be receiving an email with your activation keys, also a copy of the webinar, and some instructions. It's actually very simple. You probably won't need to read a whole lot, because after today's webinar, you're going to see how simple it is. What I'd like to do first is start with the first poll question, and I'm going to bring that up on the screen. And I'd like all of you to answer. We'll give you a few seconds here to answer this, and this will really help me understand what an impact this new system will have. So the question, if you guys just take a moment to answer the question: how many new PAFs do you submit on a day-to-day basis? And let's see here, we've got just about all of you voted. I'll give you 1 or 2 more seconds and I'll close the polling. So all of you who haven't answered the question, go ahead and do that. We've got about 5% of you that are still unanswered. Okay, almost done. And I'm going to go ahead now and close the poll. And I'm going to share the results. So there you go. So the results are 96% of you on a day-to-day basis have between 1 and 10, 4% of you 11 to 50. So this, even the 1 to 10, typically when a PAF is going to be filled out, you have a new customer online and you need to get their mailing out. And sometimes to get the approval done, it may take, like I said, under an hour, or even could take several hours, depending on, what the volume is. So that's awesome. Thank you. So now I understand a little bit more about everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to AccuZip. So basically, when you receive the email, you're going to receive a UUID. It's a unique ID, and it'll instruct you to go under the Additions menu and choose Move Update, and you'll go down to PAF Management Activation. So when you choose PAF Management Activation, you're going to enter your UUID here. Once you enter the UUID here and hit Save, it'll activate your Cloud PAF Management System. So it hits the cloud and it activates it. One of the beauties of the activation is that once it is activated, you can then sync with all of the other licenses that you have. So if you have more than one license, you just click Sync, and what it does is it syncs through the cloud, similar to what your iPhone would do if you had, you're backing up to the cloud and syncing. It syncs with the cloud and grabs the available PAFs for your account. And then as a result of that, it puts that information inside of your customer IDs folder here. So these PAFs have already been approved, and the 2 new PAFs are right here. So if you have 10 licenses or 5 licenses or 2 licenses, syncing is very simple across all of your licenses. So I'll click OK. So now the normal process would be to go and validate your records. And now you'll see under here that this is synced now with the cloud, so you have access to all of the approved processing acknowledgement forms. So you now can choose the list owner and then begin processing your list. So one of the cool features I'm going to go into next is the ability to sign up a brand new mail list owner. So before I do that, I want to go to my second poll question. So if you could all answer this one. On average, how long does it take for the PAF to be approved? So everybody respond to that. So on average, how long does it take from when you complete a PAF, send it in, to when you can actually process a file through our NCOA? How long does that take today? Okay, so almost all of you are answered. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share the results. So nearly half of you, 8 hours or less, almost half of you, an hour or less. So do a pretty good job of getting you activated as quickly as possible. We actually have full-time people that just manage PAFs. Believe it or not, we have actually more. We have a few people that actually manage PAFs 8 hours a day. That's how many PAFs we get in. So we're doing a relatively good job, more than 8 hours, 6% of you, so we apologize for that. The PAF management system will eliminate all of that, and now you'll be able to activate your customers literally within seconds while they're on the phone. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and hide the result. Come back to AccuZip. So from the Validate Records window, so your normal workflow, let's go ahead and demonstrate how you would sign up a brand new mail list owner. So down here, if you don't see a mail list owner down here that you can choose and you're going to process their list, all you need to do is simply click on Add New Mail List Owner. And now it brings you up to this window. So you as a broker providing the service or list administrator, your information would go down here. I'll bring this up here. So you'd complete this information one time. Once you complete it, you can also now sign up new list owners. So up here, you would start entering in, like, let's say you're going to sign up a new company called Acme Incorporated, and then you'll put their name in, let's say John Doe, and their email address. I'm going to use mine just so I can get it approved and I can show you what it looks like. So the email, the PAF for you, the signature from your mail list owner. So this is the mail list owner, and the PAF is going to go directly to them on your behalf. So I'm going to go ahead and type in an address. I'll just use ours. And this PAF management system actually verifies the address. So if I were to go over to the zip code field, for example, and type in the zip code, this hits our CAS RESTful API in the cloud and returns back to you the standardized zip+4 record, which is really cool. And then your phone number, just enter it in. I'll just enter in ours. And then you'll type in the NAICS code. So everything in red is required. If I were to try to save this, it would tell me that I haven't completed the processing acknowledgement form information yet. So the cool thing is that we provide a link here, and if you click it, it actually goes to the website for the NAICS, so you can actually search for what type of business the mail list owner is. So let's say they're a printing company. So you can type in printing, and then you can go through and choose the proper NAICS code. So in this case, I'll just use 323111. So I can close this, and I can type in 323111, and that's it. You can also include their website. So if you've included, let's say, Pepsi.com, let's say that was the name of their website, you can click on this ... button, which will bring them, so you can test it out. So you can test their website out. You can also include their mailer ID in this, and those are optional. So you've completed the mail list owner's information for them. You have the broker information, so it's convenient for your customer. And this information is saved to the cloud and encrypted using a private key and blowfish technology. So this is only available to you and your account. So now I hit save, and now I can send this PAF for approval. So the beauty is that when I click this button to send for approval, the PAF is going to go to the mail list owner. A copy of the PAF is going to be CC'd to you, so you have a copy of it. And when the customer approves the PAF, they're going to be directed to your website. So in this case, I just use Coke.com, but you could have something like a thank you page or something like that you could put the URL in here for you. So when they click approve to approve the PAF, it would go to a thank you page on your website, or it can just simply go to your home page or anywhere you want. So now that I've saved the information, I can go ahead and hit send for approval. So the PAF now has been sent. It shows you the date and time. It shows you a transaction ID. It tells you the status of the PAF message, so it says it's pending. Now we see that the PAF has been delivered to the customer. So I can go over, I'm going to bring the PAF over and show you what it actually looks like. So the customer, your customer, receives an email. See, you're the CC, and then your customer, in my case, it's me, are CC'd. The name of the company is you, so ABC Incorporated, so it's your name. And then there's no reply, so the customer will actually reply to the email itself. So down here, it shows your approval is requested by John Doe, which is the broker or the list administrator with ABC Incorporated. If you have any questions or any information below is not accurate, please contact me at 805, and the number, your number is listed there. Then your list owner, of course, sees this, so I do hereby acknowledge that I've received and reviewed the NCOA link information package below, supplied to me by AccuZip, an NCOA link service provider. I also understand that the sole purpose of the NCOA link service is to provide a mailing list correction service for lists that will be used for preparing of mailings. Furthermore, I understand that the NCOA link may not be used to create or maintain new movers lists. So at this point, the customer can click approve because they see in this screen the mail list owner information, so they see their information, they see the broker information, and they see the NCOA link licensee. So we're complying with the Privacy Act required by the United States Postal Service. They also have the required text document for their records, permanent records. So they can read through this. And then, of course, they can also opt out. Of course, if they opt out, then they're not then they're not approving the PAF. They will no longer receive emails from this PAF management system again. So it complies with all the can rules, and it also complies with the strict rules that the post office has about communicating and having the mailing list owner, the mail owner, actually approve the processing acknowledgement form. So at this point, if I'm going to bring this down a little bit. If the customer, you see how it says delivered up here, right here? If the customer, when they read their email, it downloads pictures. Sometimes for security, customers don't. We have a small picture that gets downloaded if they trust your emails. A lot of customers automatically down pictures. If they do, it's just like a small dot. And if they do that, then we actually tell you that they actually opened the email. And at this point, if I click approve, notice how it goes automatically to the website that I designated for the broker. So like I said, this could be a thank you page for you. That says thank you for approving the PAF or something like that. Whatever you want, you enter that information. And more importantly, notice that AccuZip knows that the customer clicked approve, so the mail list owner has approved the PAF, and at this point, you're completely done. So we have proof of when they approved the PAF, when it was sent, and now we just simply hit close, and that PAF now is listed under here, Acme. So I can simply choose them and validate and process it through NCOA. So that's how simple it is. Another nice thing is that we keep track of when the PAFs need to be renewed. So for example, if I hover my mouse over this, I can see that this PAF is going to expire on January 26th of 2018. I can choose any one of these PAFs, and then I hover my mouse over and it tells me the expiration date. Once the expiration gets within 30 days and you come to this window and you've chosen their PAF, this ... button turns red and indicating that this PAF is about to expire. So it will tell you that you're within 30 days, it'll tell you when you're within a week or 1 day, and then if it's expired, you will not be able to even process a list for this customer again until they renew it. Now for renewing a PAF, it's exactly the same as when you create a new mail list owner, except it's a lot easier. So basically, instead of re-entering their information, if I wanted to renew this person, and by the way, you can renew them any time throughout the year. You don't have to wait a year. You can do it 6 months from when they completed the PAF. So let's say I go ahead and renew this PAF. So I just click on this ... button. It pulls up and decrypts all the information from this list owner. Now you can make the appropriate changes. So let's say that the mail list owner contact information changed. So let's say now it was Steve Jones, something like that. And then you could change their email. Say the email changed. So you could type in whatever their new email it is. And then you hit save. And then again, you send it for approval. It provides a new transaction ID, the new date and time of when it's sent. It tells you it's pending, and it'll also tell you whether it's delivered. It'll also tell you if they open it. So as you can see, it's delivered. I can tell you, now I'm going to go ahead and open it, and then you can see that it'll indicate that it's opened. And now I can get it, and now it has Steve Jones, See, the information is now changed, and now I hit approve, and it says thank you, and that's it. That's how you get a PAF approved, and now you can continue processing their list. So it shows that it's opened, and in just a second it'll show that it's approved. Mail list owner approved the PAF. Now you hit say close, and you're ready to run their list, and now they're current again. For legacy PAFs, these are files, and by the way, when we create a new PAF, so for example in here, remember we send you those bin files, right? So if I were to create another PAF, let me just create another list owner. I'm just going to call this one ABCD. Let's just say Mary Smith. Email address, I'll use mine again. And then I'll go here and I'll type in our address again. El Camino, 93422, 805-461-7300, 511-210. And then I hit save. So right now, inside of the, so I could close this window and come back at any time. So right now in here, it shows that ABCD is a pending status. So it will not allow me to process a list for this list owner until it becomes out of the pending status. So I could, send for approval, and I can see that the transaction ID, I could close this window. I could quit or close out of the application. I'll reopen this. But then I can see in here that ABCD is a pending status. So I could go back into it, and I could say check status. And then it would tell me that it's been delivered, but it has not been approved. Once they click the approve button, it opens up and says thank you, and then it'll say in here just a moment, it'll say approved, and we're done. Take a second to approve it. So pretty simple steps to take. And by the way, if you renew a PAF, in other words, if one of your licenses renews this person, all of your licenses throughout AccuZip are automatically renewed. So if the status is within 30 days and if this button is red, then as soon as you choose it, as soon as this window opens, it pings the cloud because it's within 30 days. And if they've already renewed the PAF from one of your other installed licenses, like somebody else within your organization has already sent an email for approval and they approve it, your AccuZip would also show them as being approved, and so you could then process their list. Pretty cool stuff. So I've showed you how to create a new mail list owner by clicking on the plus button, how to renew a PAF, and then for legacy PAFs, these are PAFs like this one, for example. When I hover the mouse over this ... button, there's no expiration date. So if I click on it, it brings up me as the broker, or whoever, John Doe as the broker, and then now I can go ahead and fill in the information for this list owner and send for approval. And then that would bring this PAF current now with the new PAF management system. So all of your existing bin files and your existing hard copy PAFs that you've submitted, and then you reply to our email saying, okay, nothing's changed, all of that can be brought current just simply by when it becomes expired. So each one of these bin files, even though it's a legacy, at some point will become expired. And when they do, it'll tell you within 30 days, and then 1 week, and then 1 day or whatever, that button will turn red, even though it's the older PAF thing. You can go ahead and get it renewed without contacting us. Okay, so each one of these that come in, we're aware of them, and if there's any mistakes or any, with it, we will contact you. But this is going to be a lot easier to onboard your new customers and manage it throughout multiple licenses through AccuZip, because you can just simply sync with all of your machines. We will be creating an automatic sync. So in other words, when you open AccuZip, you'll be able to set the PAF management to auto sync. So every single time you open AccuZip and go to the Validate Records window, it can sync when the window first opens for that session of when you're inside of AccuZip. So it'll sync one time and then not bug you anymore the rest of the day, unless you want it to. And then you can manually sync. So at this point, let me go and ask the final poll question. And I'll go ahead and launch that. And if you would all be kind enough to say, do you like the new PAF management system? Yes or no? And if no, we definitely want to know why. So the biggest complaint, of course, is the time it takes for you to get this stuff approved. Remember, this stuff's required. We can't do anything about it. It's extremely important that we comply with the U.S. Postal Service rules and requirements. Naturally, if we don't, you won't be able to use the system either. So let's go ahead and close it and share the results. So 97, almost all of you love the new system. So I would be interested, Kristen, to take questions from some of the people who said that they do not like the new PAF management system, and so I could learn why, so we can make sure that we make those changes so they do.
Sure. So thank you. Good job, Steve. We do have a few questions I've been fielding through the chat, just some general questions about PAFs. And I would like to continue on with just some of those general questions, and then at the end, go ahead and continue to type your questions in the chat. And like Steve mentioned, of something that you may or may not like about it, they may be addressed in these questions and answers that I'm going to ask Steve about right now. Okay, Steve, so first question is, we have many customers that are printers. We receive the list from the printers on behalf of their customers. We have no contact with their customers, nor do the printers want us to. The mailing is being subcontracted out to us. We currently process using PAFs in the printer's name, as this is who sends us the list. Is that still okay?
No, because if you're providing a service to a printer, right, and then you have the printer providing a service to the list owner. So if you could get their name, we can show them how to properly complete the PAF, so they're like in a third position.
Okay.
So get their email address and we'll contact them offline.
Okay.
And actually, Chris, what we'll do is with this, because there's a lot of questions, people have legitimate questions about who, the PAF and how it should be completed properly. So the post office put together a fantastic Q&A, FAQ on who should complete the PAF. So there is a role, just like they were saying. So I'll work, we'll also include that with our email tomorrow, so you can see how the proper way of handling PAFs and answer a lot of your questions.
Okay, excellent. And another question, is there a way to send the PAF request prior to having to process the list?
Oh, absolutely. The flow is just you do it from the Validate Records window. So when you open up their list, you go to the Validate Records window, and then you can add a mail list owner here. I think what they're probably wanting is they would like to add a mail list owner maybe from the menu here. So under Move Update, maybe we could add in, add mail list owner, and then it would bring up, in essence, this same window.
Yes. Yes,
then
so that question was posed by a few people. Exactly, asking if they can do it without actually having a list.
Yeah, so basically, tomorrow we'll provide the email, which will include a link to go to our updates page, so you can download the latest update to AccuZip, which will be version 5.07.91. And I'll make sure that this mail list owner interface window can be accessed without opening up the Validate Records window, without having a list open or anything.
Okay. And another question is, can we still use the old system for some customers?
We are moving away completely, because one of the biggest complaints from the post office is that I kind of understand it, but they don't know that the mail list owner is actually signing the PAF. So recently they've approached all the vendors, and they're concerned that the broker is actually signing on behalf of the mail list owner, which you can't do. So sometimes a list provider will complete the entire PAF for the list owner and sign it for them, and then send it in to us, and that's what the post office is trying to avoid. They want the mail list owner to actually sign the processing acknowledgement form. That's required for the Privacy Act, so that the mail list owner understands who is actually touching their data and providing the service. So that's why we will be not allowing the hard copy PAF after a certain amount of months. So we'll let you know repeatedly when the hard copy PAFs are no longer going to be accepted. And actually, the hard copy PAFs, when you send them in, because we have this new electronic method, we're going to it'll be in the software. It's there now. You guys all have it today. We're just going to provide an update with these, by providing this new feature, so you don't have to get inside the Validate Records window. But you all have this feature there today in this latest version of AccuZip. But we're just going to enhance it a little bit. So if you're sending in hard copies, you're going to get an email from us suggesting, kind of recommending that you use this electronic method. It's a lot easier for everybody. And then the hard copies will probably take longer to get back to you. Basically, we're not going to make it super inconvenient, but we're going to make it more inconvenient, because we want to encourage you guys to use this new method. We know you have access to the internet, of course, because you're running through NCOA. So this process it's very simple, and it's near real time too. And it's exactly the way the post office wants it. They literally want the mail list owner to sign these PAFs and get approved, and know the whole system on how this stuff's being processed.
Okay. And another question, do you have any concerns about PAF emails going to junk mail or spam? And related to that, what if a client opts out? Who is notified?
Right. So if they opt out, when you come here to check status on that customer, it will actually, so if I choose this guy, hit check status, it will tell you that they opted out, or it bounced. It'll give you the message on what happens on their end. So if they unsubscribe, you'll know they unsubscribed. Then you can deal with it by contacting them and asking them why they unsubscribe and all that stuff, and then they can resubscribe. As far as the method to resubscribe, I believe that if they look at their email, like for example, if I go to this email here, I don't know, I'll have to see, but I believe you can resubscribe if you unsubscribe. Yeah, right here, unsubscribe me, semi-critical non-marketing mail. So we'll make it so they can resubscribe. For right now, though, if they unsubscribe, you probably have to contact them and then contact us, and then we're going to have to remove them from the blacklist so they continue receiving the emails. Well, hopefully, remember these emails are being sent on your behalf by us, and we're sending it through a white label SMTP. So the emails will be more likely that they'll receive them from the method we're using than receiving them from you, because our system is white labeled, so it's going to, you know what I mean, our SMTP. So it's the likelihood of them receiving it from us is much greater than it would be coming from someone else.
Okay.
Because we're whitelisted, and that takes a long time, a lot of confidence, I guess, in what we're, and by the way, the emails don't have anything in there really that would make them look like spam. So we don't have any links that are like hidden and that kind of stuff. So we've done a good job. Plus, we follow all the CAN rules, and so the email should not be perceived as being spam by the receiver.
Okay, another question is there a way to automatically complete a PAF for all of the mailers we have saved in AccuZip?
That is the answer. The short answer is in this first release. So you have a list that you've probably already got approved, and you have we've already approved them. They're in the system, and you can do them. So I would say as they become become expired, or as you process their list, you can send it out for approval. Like, for example, before I validate this and you choose it, you can go ahead and quickly click this and send it out for approval and get out of that window. If they approved it, next time you come back, it's already approved. It's not like something you have to be aware of. You just send the PAVs out for approval, and we monitor whether they signed it, it's approved or not approved. Because if it's not approved, it's going to expire. So what they're wanting is the ability, the way I hear it, is for them to open a database like this one with all their list owners, and for them to click a button and have the emails go out to all of them to be approved. Is that correct? So that would be a feature that would enhance this existing service, and I knew that question would be asked, so we're actually already have it in the agenda to add. So the short answer is yes, it will be, but it's not in there today. And I would say to add that functionality, I would just say it'll be sometime in probably the later part of February, because we already have the tools to do that. In other words, we already have the ability to do that now on one basis. So there would have to be some error checking in your database, because we would probably provide you with a template, like a database template that you could import into, because there are certain required elements that we need, like their company name, the first name, last name, email address. All of these fields are necessary. And then, like the mailer ID, the website, and date signed, and all that good stuff. So we'll create a template that you can import your data into it, and then click a button for it to be sent out to everybody. So expect that in sometime in February.
Okay. And then a few people are asking about the broker website. Is the broker website listing a requirement? What happens if you don't list one?
If you do not list a broker website, now the nice thing about the broker website is that you as the broker, when the customer hits approve, it goes to your website or whatever website that you want it to. If you are missing that, it's going to go to our website, AccuZip.
Okay. Okay, and you want to do, you have time for one more question, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is about multiple licenses. How are these items affected by having multiple AccuZip instances with unique paths per installation? 1, syncing. 2, stored broker information. For example, can we have different website destinations after approval per AccuZip installation?
Well, when you're a licensee of AccuZip, you're the broker here. You're saying multiple brokers?
I think the first part of the question is, how are these items affected by having multiple AccuZip instances with unique paths? How about syncing?
Yeah, so the syncing, we have these unique PAF IDs right here. So these PAF IDs are auto-assigned. So if I'm understanding the question right, so for AAA, for example, if on your machine it's like a different number, like 77, and on someone else's it's like 78, but it's the same company, they're considered two different mail list owners because of the PAF ID. So what you could do is you could take one master license and sync it, right? So sync it with the cloud. And then you could remove all of the bin files. Of course, don't remove your broker files, these ones that activate the service. But you could remove all of the mail list owners from your other licenses and then just sync. And so then when you do that, all of your licenses will have exactly the same processing acknowledgement forms.
Okay. And we'll do one last one.
You don't have to renew them. Remember, when people expire, you don't have to renew them. You can actually remove them from your customer IDs folder, and you're good to go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and this is a scripting question. In automated environments using scripts to launch processing for incoming jobs, does AccuZip's new ability to detect expired PAFs allow it to continue processing incoming jobs, or will it require manual intervention after encountering an expired PAF?
So what happens is, in an automated process, if the PAF is expired, remember, you know the PAF's expired within 30 days, and it reminds you every day, 30 days all the way to when it expires. So if it expires, all we do internally is, so like if this PAF was expired, for example, and you're running this in a script, our script would uncheck this NCOA box, and your process would not stop. It would continue, but it would continue without the NCOA service. And then, of course, when you get to the pre-sort part, you'll see that the list has not been processed through NCOA, and at that point, you can make some decisions on getting it renewed. So, it's important that there's some processes, I guess, in their case, in the script, are they asking me, or maybe it would help if we had a feature in the script that if they were expired, see, the thing is, though, if they're expired, we could send them the current information, and then the list owner could just contact you and say, hey, some of the information's changed. Then you would have to manually go in there and make the changes. And just thinking high level, if nothing did change, then this email could be sent automatically. So if you're in a script environment, I'm thinking, okay, if it's within 30 days and you're running a script, then we could automatically hit the send for approval for this list owner, and then they could reply, approve it, or contact you to make changes. And if we do that 30 days in advance, there's no harm, no foul, because the PAF has to be renewed within a year. If something changes within a year, the customer should contact you naturally and give you their new information, but this would definitely allow them to do that. So Kristen, I've added to the agenda that through the script process, if it's within 30 days, and I could allow that could be changed to 60 days or whatever time frame the customer input could be, is that through the script it could automatically generate and send for approval PAFs. Because remember, once they approve the PAF, the list owner verifies the information and approves the PAF. All of the licenses are automatically updated. So if you have 10 AccuZip licenses, all of them are updated for that customer, that mail list owner. Okay, I've made a note on that, so I think that's a great idea. But remember, guys, that's what makes AccuZip such a great product and a well-used product. A lot of people use it, is because of comments like that, suggestions and stuff like that. We love to make the product, very rich in features. So thank you for that suggestion.
Okay, and we have a customer asking about how this accounts for DSF. Yes. What happens if I got caught in an audit that I've already violated regarding DSF? How does this account for that? DSF, you mean walk sequence? Correct. Looks like it. This doesn't, yeah, so this is the NCOA link process. We have inside of AccuZip, we have a feature inside of here, data enhancement services. So your DSF data should never be out of compliance. We offer DSF processing, DSF2 processing. Oh, I'm sorry. He just clarified. He's talking about digital storefront, not DSF walk sequencing.
Oh, got it, got it. On the digital storefront, the PAVs are still handled on a manual basis. So you'll have to complete we have a digital one that's online that I think you referenced in your PowerPoint, Kristen,
Yes.
for DSF vendors. Yeah, so you would still have to go to the AccuZip.com, and then let's see here, new, I think it's PAF. Do you remember what I think it might be NCOA link. Do you remember what the URL
yep,
was?
I've got it. I do. I have it right here.
AccuZip.com.
Directly.
And
okay, yes, it's AccuZip.com/products.
Okay.
/NCOA link /PAF /new.
So here for DSF, for the digital storefront, they would continue using this electronic method of completing the PAF and approving. And the beauty is with the digital storefront, EFI digital storefront, is that we utilize the mailer ID. So the mailer ID instead of the PAF ID is used. So the workflow within the digital storefront is the same. So when you're doing it and you provide the mail list owner mailer ID, we use that as the PAF ID, because you can have multiple mailer IDs within a CRID, like one company could have multiple mailer IDs. So each mailer ID is described by their own company, which could have a different contact information or whatever. So that approval still comes through here. I can tell you that we work every single day with EFI on improving the services. They have mail list capability where you can purchase mailing lists. They have the EDDM capability where you can create EDDM mailing lists or upload files. And those are brand new. We also have the capability now of uploading to Postal One that we're going to be working on with EFI, along with remember, this PAF management system is brand new. So this PAF management system has a full RESTful API library that we've created that we will work with EFI to integrate into your digital storefront, so your customers can use the digital storefront to renew their PAFs as they're checking out.
Okay, and then the last question is, when will this be available to users?
Tomorrow. So basically, you're going to receive, so all of you have this move update PAF management activation today. You guys all have this screen. What we're going to do is send you out an email tomorrow with more instructions, also a copy of this webinar. What I might do, Kristen, is have our team go through this webinar and shorten it a little bit.
Okay.
And maybe even instead of sending this webinar, we'll just provide the link on our website. But what I'll do is we'll provide a PDF document that kind of gives you the PowerPoint that we showed you earlier with screenshots of each one of these. So we'll show you screenshots of the activation window. We'll show you screenshots of the validate window, of the mail list owner window, adding a PAF, and we'll do that in a PowerPoint presentation that we save as a PDF, and we'll include that tomorrow as well. So tomorrow, you can expect sometime tomorrow you'll receive your own UUID for your account. You can use that same UUID for all of your AccuZip licenses. I would recommend downloading version 91, because the version that you all should have now, if you go to our webpage, is version 90, so 5.7.90. Tomorrow will be 91, and we'll provide a link in that email with your UUID, and you're off and running. By the way, Kristen, one thing I want to say is on the old PAFs, like this one is a legacy PAF, we are pushing the encrypted data to the server. So when you choose you choose a legacy processing acknowledgement form, and I click this ... button, we will autofill the name and address information on what we have currently from your hard copy PAF. So I neglected to tell you that. But so basically, when you choose that PAF, it will populate this with your hard copy information. So you don't have to completely fill it out. So if I were to try to save this now, see it says, please correct the data in the highlighted fields. So it tells you which ones are actually required. If you mistype your phone number and you just provide just that information, it doesn't fly. You see how it's still red? So you'd have to provide enough information for it to accept it. Same thing with this. If I type in 3 numbers, see it won't accept it. It'll still tell you it's wrong, even though you filled out the rest of this stuff. If you type in an invalid email, it won't accept it. You have to type in a valid email address. The address, like I told you, gets verified automatically. Even if the address is bad, we'll still accept it, but it does go through the verification process. So if I were to type in something here, ABC Incorporated, and by the way, if you already have a PAF created and you try to create another one, it's going to tell you. So see, I'm trying to create ACDC again. I already have the PAF, and it tells me that the PAF already exists for this customer. And then you can click OK or cancel. Okay, so we really done a good job. And if I hit, see, it tells you the highlighted ones are still not. So you type in the proper characters, and then you can save and send.
Okay, so thank you, Steve. And we have some questions in our Q&A that still were unresponded to, but what we'll do, several of them are of similar nature to ones that Steve answered. But what we'll do is we'll put together a consolidated, as Steve said, Q&A of all of your questions, make sure that there's answers to each one of them, put that together in a PDF, and post that to our webinars page as well as the recording, and you will all receive an email with the latest update link as well. So you'll have all of the materials that you can reference to post this webinar. And as I mentioned in the beginning, if you have other questions, if you can send those to support@AccuZip.com with the subject of the AccuZip 6 PAF Management Training webinar. I would encourage you to hold off on sending those questions to the support email until you receive the consolidated email that we are going to send out post-webinar, which may actually already answer some of your questions that you've posed here. But the majority of you...
Guys, and by the way, Chris, I just want to real briefly say on the pre-sort part of it, guys, you're going to have a new option here for a calendar. So you can actually tell us when you're doing the mailing. And then we have 2 DMMs now, so we'll use a future DMM labeling list for you. So that one's coming out soon. That'll be available for you next month. So it'll use the most current labeling list as well. So we got some really cool things coming out soon.
Okay. Did you want to do any closing remarks, Steve?
I think we're good. I appreciate your patronage, everyone. It's very valuable. We're super excited about 2017, and we're going gangbusters here. We've got some great technologies coming out, and some new patents. We got 2 patents on our living mail technology. We got some new patents we filed for, so we're excited about the future. I want you guys to keep the suggestions coming, so send your emails to support@AccuZip.com if you have any suggestions. Kristen, we might put together another poll thing that we send out to everybody, getting some ideas that they may want to see in the product in the future.
Definitely, definitely. We'll send out some a feedback survey, and I'll put on that feedback survey a list for you to add specific comments now that you've seen the new PAF management system. Once you get the answers to some of your questions, get a chance to look at it and implement it, we definitely welcome your feedback and your comments and pass those on to our development team, because our goal, like our tagline is our technology is your success. We want you to be successful. You're the end user, so we answered. We knew that the PAF management process was cumbersome, time-consuming. There's certain aspects of it that we can't change to ensure that we are in compliance and you are in compliance, but we're hoping that with this new automated system, makes the process seamless for you so that you can continue on with your daily work of what you're wanting to do rather than be filling out processing acknowledgement forms all day long. So
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you for your feedback and your input that actually led to the development of this system.
Yep, we want you guys to be happy, that's for sure, and thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you everyone. Bye-bye.